What is up, guys? Levi Peterson here, back at it with another video. Today's video, another exciting video. We got Oyster-Feast from Reef Nutrition, and we're going to use it in my 10-gallon. I currently don't have any corals except for some toxic paleothos in there that are actually still growing like crazy, and I actually took a light off the top. I just have a fluval sky on there. A lot of softies actually don't need much light. I thought about adding some NPS in here, non-photosynthetic, but I'm really not going to mess with that, simply because I got my long nose right here, Hawaiian long nose butterfly fish, or yellow long nose, really whatever you'd like to call it. There's a couple different names for them. So I'm not really planning on putting any more corals in there for quite a long time, if at all, because I got the butterfly fish, and I've noticed he has picked on the paleothos a little bit, so I'm really not going to want to mess with adding expensive stuff in there. And that's simply why I have the 10-gallon. A little more maintenance, less space, but I got a big light on it so I can grow some pretty good corals. I'm planning on trying some SPS here, possibly picking up an SPS at Reefapalooza. I'm really excited. That's this weekend, October 19th through the 20th. Be sure to check it out and be there. So today we are actually going to feed Oyster-Feast to my tank, and then I kind of use this as a secondary supplement to feed. Most of the time I feed most of my corals and everything with this, and really don't have to target feed the Oyster-Feast or the Phyto-Feast, because once you spray it, I usually use a pipette, spray it right into the filter path, and it blows it right throughout the tank. It spreads it out. There's dosage and stuff you can put in there, because you do not want, I think it's 1 teaspoon per 100 gallons for the Phyto-Feast, and let's see. This stuff's good for 1 to 2 teaspoons for 100 gallons. So about the same as the Phyto-Feast. I just use a standard pipette, which makes things a lot easier. And one thing with this, especially, I would like to try some NPS soon, which this stuff and the Phyto-Feast will be awesome tools to feed non-photosynthetic corals. Excuse me. A lot of people struggle keeping those guys simply because they're a lot of maintenance, and they have bigger tanks. So you have bigger tanks, you have more space to work with, but then again you have taller glass and you have to reach down there, and that can affect your coral, especially putting hand in there with oils on your hand. So a lot of people have end up buying long pipettes, which work really nice, but that's why I'm sticking with the 10-gallon for lots of my coral, because it's simply easy to get to the coral, easy access for everything, and it's simply, honestly, it's really not that hard to take care of if you do it right. Weekly water changes. I hot rodded my filter. Actually, my boss hot rodded it, so this thing is like decked out. It kind of has a little copepod station in there, and along with the pre-filter on the front, which helps out. I just have to clean that out every time I do a water change, which is what I do. So what we're going to do now, I do have a coral I have to move around down there. I got some Hollywood stunner chalice that a snail must have pushed right under the rock where it's out of direct light. So I'd like to get that back out into the light. We'll flip the camera around and show you exactly what I have right now, and we will feed some Oyster-Feast and some Phyto. Okay, so really this isn't that hard to do. Feeding corals is not hard, especially in this small tank. I really just have to put 1 squirt of each, and it'll kind of surround this whole tank and cycle through it and feed just about everything in here. I really don't have to target feed much, because all this is softies except for this guy, which is a Duncan. Then we got the Hollywood Stunner Chalice, and there's a piece back in the back. I would like to add an ACAN here at some point before I end up adding my SPS to this tank. And there's the other chalice back there starting to get on that rock, hopefully. Yeah, I'd like to add an ACAN and then possibly start out with some bird's nest, possibly a Monty, but I would like to do one kind of acropora in here just to kind of start it off and see how I do. So that's why obviously I'm starting with the bird's nest and stuff, because it's a little cheaper and it's kind of easier to maintain, and it's a good beginner SPS, which will probably be my next video. I'm going to start doing some top 5 corals for beginners and all that kind of stuff. Open this stuff up. It does stink, and I'm going to tell you that right now. I've actually seen a lot of people drink this stuff. It has good health benefits. I haven't tried it myself yet, and I don't plan to. So simply, I literally just put a couple squirts in there, and as you can see, it just kind of dissolves into the tank, and you do not want to put very much in, and I gotta be careful because I don't have much room to mess up, especially during water changes, which is simply hard enough. You have to have your salinity as perfect as possible, and that is all I'm gonna do. I'll just clean out the pipette There's a little excess stuff in there. That feather duster is gonna love that extra stuff I put in there. Same with this, I just get a little, tiny little bit. That's about all I really need for this 10 gallon. I squirt a couple squirts in there, and you don't want to squirt too much because you will simply overdose your tank like I have actually done once, and your tank will be super cloudy. It's really not going to affect anything. In fact, your corals will probably be really happy, but your tank will not look pretty. So I did a straight up water change right after that, and it looked totally fine. So yeah, everything's doing really well in here. Duncan is the second SPS I added to the Hollywood Stunning Shells first. He's doing really good. I got a couple more LPS that I have in plan, and I did not mean to say SPS, by the way, I'm sorry. I meant LPS. So I would like to add a couple more LPS before I get to acros and bird's nest and montes. One thing I do want to add is I do want to add a hammer. Get a small hammer colony going out right there. That'd be really cool. Either a hammer or some frog spawn. I would like to add some frog spawn at some point too. Frog spawn actually kind of looks like torches. They're really cool and interesting, and there's lots of different color morphs and everything out there. But like I said, oh, this guy right here, we actually found my the frag tank at our store, and I'm not really sure exactly what it is yet. It looks like some type of leather. Stuck him in there, and he is attached to a rock, and he is actually doing pretty well. Hopefully I can grow him out and see exactly what he is. Other than that, that's really it. I just kind of want to show you this stuff and how it works. I already have done a video on that guy. This stuff is awesome. This stuff is even better. This is probably the best thing for corals that you can feed in the world. Not really trying to be biased or anything towards any other people, but this stuff is simply the best of the best. No complaints on this guy. This guy is awesome. My corals are so vibrant thanks to the Oyster-Feast and the Oyster-Feast working together. TDO Chroma Boost, that will be a different video coming out hopefully next week. That stuff is really cool, and I should try to get some footage of a mushroom coral eating that stuff. It's just so cool to watch. Other than that, I want to flip the camera around, talk a little bit more about this weekend, which got Reef Palooza. That's going to be the next video. Hopefully, if not, I will throw another video in between, because it might take a little bit to edit the Reef Palooza video. So let's flip the camera around and talk a little bit more, and that's going to be it. Well, guys, that's really about it for this video. One thing, if you have any questions about any of Reef Nutrition's products, let me know. I can get you the answers. One thing I do want to let you guys know quickly is this tank over here, I added a couple more fish to it. Let's get you a little closer. I have 4 Hawaiian domino damselfish in there with the 4-stripe. There was a little aggression at first, but I think they finally came to like each other. Obviously, damselfish never really get along. Even with their own kinds, but they're really kind of like cichlids. Plans for this tank, I did throw George the emerald crab back in there because I sumped him because he actually killed my frogfish, and I'll explain that reason real quick. Excuse me. Frogfish's eyes are actually really sensitive. A lot of people don't know this, but water parameters and crabs and stuff like that can actually do things like that to the frogfish and scorpion fish, and just things like that. I was actually really surprised the frogfish didn't try to eat them, but this crab is probably almost 3 inches long. He's huge. And one day I noticed, actually my dad noticed, that the crab was sitting on top of the frogfish picking at it, and then I realized that that's why the eyes were starting to change and look a little different. So I am not very happy with that crab. He's lucky that I gave him a second chance in there. But if I do end up getting a scorpion fish, he's out. I'm probably going to either sump him or tank him in to my store. So that's my plan for that tank. Edward the Moray over here, he is about 2.5 foot long. So I will actually reconsider. I'm probably going to have to end up moving him or taking him back to my store, which kind of really stinks. But I do not want to stress him out in that small of a tank, and I don't have much room to upgrade. Simply because my whole room is literally pretty much covered in tanks. And I am upstairs, so I don't want to add too much weight because I don't want to fall through the floor. So my plans with this tank are actually to put a frogfish and a scorpionfish in here together. That's been my plan for a while after I end up having to get rid of this eel. I really don't want to get rid of him, but it's the best thing for the eel, and it's going to be the best thing for me. I'll actually take all the driftwood out of there and rescape it with some live rock and stuff like that to help the frogfish. Don't really plan on putting much coral or anything in there, probably different kinds of macro, simply because that light's a fluorescent light and everything. I'm not going to plan on growing too much coral or anything. If I do anything, it'll probably end up being some non-photosynthetic stuff. With maybe some tabastria or something in the far future. That tank's been running for probably over almost a year and a half now. Freshwater started it out, and then I converted it to brackish, and now it's just about full salt. It's sitting at 1.020, which is actually fine for saltwater fish, but I like to keep my tanks personally at 1.025 because that's what I mix my water at, and it's just easier to transfer all this water at 1.025 in all the tanks, and it's better for the fish and better for the coral. People that keep coral only tanks usually bump their salinity up a couple points, maybe to 1.026 or 1.027, and 1.027 is kind of pushing it, even for corals. 1.026, corals actually seem to thrive a little more. The ocean's average salinity, it kind of fluctuates constantly. Some people say it's 1.026, some people say it's 1.025. I just go with 1.025. Other than that, that's really going to be it for this video. There's not much more to tell you. I will be doing a TDO Chroma Boost video. Yep, that was a flash of what I'm going to do next week. And I am going to Reef Palooza this weekend, so make sure to be there. I will be handing out some decals and everything. But yeah, that video will probably be coming out late next week because it's going to take a long time to edit, and there may be 2 parts to it because it's probably going to end up being a really long video if I do it all in one. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for the TDO Chroma Boost. That stuff is awesome. So is everything else. This stuff is, I'm not trying to be biased, but it's just the best of the best. Oyster-Feast is good, but I use that as kind of a secondary supplement to feed my corals because the Oyster-Feast colors them up like nothing I've ever used before in my life. TDO Chroma Boost actually does a good job too. I feed TDO Chroma Boost to my paleothos and my mushroom corals, and they actually seem to brighten up a lot, and it's kind of weird to see a coral eat a pellet, but I witnessed it myself in my own tank, and that was the best thing ever. So other than that, I really think that's about it. There's not much more to tell you. Don't forget to be the fish and keep reefing. We'll see you in the next video.